For some reason, my camera isn't working on my computer. I need to get that checked, but for the meantime, I'm just gonna screen record my Google Slides and talk about the process of my interviews and reflections. So to start, the specific actions that early adopters in the field that I'm looking for, which is specifically dog owners who have picky dog eaters, their actions I listed down are that they might be buying new brands of foods each week to try to find something that their dog will eat, or adding toppers, broths mixed in to get their food interesting for the dog. They might also research picky eater solutions in Facebook groups or online web searches. They may ask their vets for feeding strategies and nutritional advice, or they might watch YouTube reviews or any other form of video, such as TikTok, to figure out any solutions for picky eaters. Some locations that I found that would potentially help me find people to interview are pet stores, vet clinics, dog owner Facebook groups, YouTube channels, and then the actual aisles in grocery stores, specifically selling dog foods, and specifically looking for people who might be reading the ingredients label or taking a closer look in what the dog food brands actually have in their food. Some only observations are comparing dog food labels for long periods, asking staff about picky eater food options, and filming or noting ingredients to research later, like quickly jotting things down in their phone to look after later. So for my backup first customer, is a dog owner who feels worried when digestive issues come in because they're afraid their dog isn't absorbing the nutrients. Specific actions is early adopters try multiple dog foods, add toppers or broths, research solutions online, ask vets for advice, or even cook homemade meals to make sure their picky dogs get proper nutrition. Backup early adopters look for solutions at vet clinics, pet stores, online pet forums, YouTube channels, and dog owner groups where they search for advice on feeding or nutrition. They compare ingredient labels, ask staff for diet advice, take photos of dog food options, and watch nutrition videos or read reviews on their phone while shopping or waiting at the vet. So my interviewing action plan. Before my first round of 5 interviews, I gave myself a deadline of February 19th to ask 30 people and then schedule at least 10 interviews by the 20th, and then have conducted 5 by the 21st. For my secondary interview channel, I gave myself 30 requests by February 22nd to have 10 scheduled by February 23rd and then 5 conducted by February 24th. And for my primary interview channel, I'm looking at pet stores and grooming salons where I can spot owners asking about food alternatives or examining ingredient labels for their picky eating dogs. And then for my secondary interview channel, these are online dog owner communities where people frequently post about their dogs refusing food. So, my first round was entering friends and families. I interviewed my brother just to get experience on actually conducting an interview. He wasn't necessarily someone that has a picky dog, but I interviewed him and I found out that he has a problem with motivation to go with class because he tends to feel rather tired. And a way to counteract this problem is by setting a lot of alarms. And also, he mentioned finding a buddy that he can walk to class with to also raise some motivation in him. I thought the interview went well. I asked Chris for feedback, and he said to ask more questions and don't be afraid to go off course, which is incredibly useful when I'm conducting my 5 interviews on my actual target market, because I am specifically looking at dog owners who might have picky eaters as dogs, but if they start mentioning other challenges that come, I have to be willing to dive more into that aspect. And then they also felt like it was casual and easy to talk, which was nice to hear. I interviewed my sister. She said that she has a hard work-life balance and it causes her a lot of stress, so she uses a schedule to prioritize and tries not to overcommit herself. She thought this interview went well and that it was also very easy to talk. I interviewed my friend who has a problem with saving money because she wants to go back to school for her master's, and it gives her a lot of stress, anxiety, and also she has to feel discipline whenever she thinks about it, but she's working on budgeting and then she's living at home as well as working full time to create that source of revenue funds. She thought that the interview went well and was able to get a lot of information and was very easy to talk. So for my actual customers, the first dog owner that I interviewed was Suyosh, and he said that their dog doesn't like to go on walks and tends to go crazy when one person was with them. He doesn't like to eat his own food, and his dog needs to lose weight. So to counteract that, he said that there's always at least 2 people that goes on walks with their dog, because as long as there's more than one person, their dog tends to behave. And then they try to hold back on giving them table scraps so that he doesn't get more weight added. Reagan the dog gets bored and barks at everybody that passes, constantly wants to play catch outside, and they take them to a lot of campgrounds and softball fields and doesn't really know if those grounds allow dogs. So just to counteract that, try to discipline the dog a little bit and do research beforehand. Same with Nicole. Try to discipline their dog whenever they bark a lot or tugs on their leash, and then has trouble leaving her alone in the house, so they try to have someone at home if the whole family happens to be away for whatever reason. I interviewed another friend called Chris who has a dog that barks at everything and basically tries to hold the leash tight and discipline the dog, and also keeps the dog away in a separate room if there's multiple people over at his house, as they tend to be a little bit anxious around big groups. Same with this dog owner, except that an added issue is that their dog likes to go in other neighbors' yards, so to counteract that, they built a fence. So this is basically the summary of everything that I have just listed, and the one that I thought was especially important was Dylan's dog has anxiety every time she gets left alone in the house, and to help mitigate that, they close all the doors, leave the TV on, try to have someone over. So for round 2, I noticed that for all of the dog owners that I have interviewed, they tend to have relatively the same issues that my first round of interviews had. So just to summarize, this is the big chart of everything that they've mentioned, and I think that the most important one was Mila, who mentioned that their dog is a picky eater, because I've noticed that is the issue that is most repetitive or comes up the most throughout all of the people that I have interviewed. And her action to try to mitigate that was try different dog food brands and hiding treats in their food.